Hello, puzzle people. Welcome if it's your first time here. Welcome back if you've been here before. This is chapter 13 of my puzzle story. In today's video, I'll be talking about the 2025 World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships that will take place from September 15th to September 21st, and the 4 events that I'll be participating in while I'm there. For those of you that may want to watch, I will be including in the description of this video the links to all the YouTube videos that will stream the events live as they become available. However, you can also check the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation website for their updates as well. So what are the 4 events, and more importantly, what is the outfit I'll be wearing? Let's get into it. Outfit number 1, go Canada. The first event, and the one I am most proud of being a part of, is the national competition. This is where teams of up to 10 people will be representing their home countries as they face off to complete a 1,500-piece puzzle as fast as possible. This event will take place on Monday 15th at 6 p.m. Spanish time, or 12 noon Canadian Eastern Time. For this national competition, there will be up to 25 different countries being represented, and I expect this to be highly competitive, just like all the other events will be that week. This event is replacing the Guinness World Record puzzle, the 2,000-piece one that was completed in 2024. The US did win that, with Germany coming second and Canada in third. I don't know who the favorites are going into the event this year. There's some people that aren't attending that were there last year. Maybe the US might still be a favorite. I don't think so. It could be the Polish team, could be the Spanish team, Germany. But my prediction, I still think Canada comes in the top 3. So excited for that. Outfit number 2, you've seen this in every video that's been on this channel already. The second event that I'll be participating in, and really the main event for me, is the individual competition. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, this is the event that I am most nervous about. To add to the pressure of that competition, I am in the first qualification group on the very first day of the official competition, which is Group A. That will take place at 4 p.m. Spanish time or 10 a.m. Canadian Eastern Time. In this round, I will need to finish in the top 85 participants. And currently, as of the recording of this video, there's 175 people registered in that event and can go as high as 200. So being in the top half at the very least is an absolute necessity. I'm really hoping I'm not fighting for that 85th spot. Something around 40 would be lovely, 50, 60 even. But yeah, if I'm closer to 85, I'm not going to feel as great if I qualify for the next round. There are also 7 other Canadians in my qualifier, including the current and back-to-back Canadian champion Megan Sloka. So I'm not planning on being the top Canadian in the group, that's for sure. And the highest ranked person who's been to Worlds before that is in this round, they finished 3rd in 2024, and that is Christian from Poland. They are very good. While I believe I can qualify for the semifinals, there's so many factors to take into consideration, and nothing is set in stone until it's done. So while I have goals of making the semifinals, until I actually get there, who knows? If I make it into the semifinals, my round will take place the following day on Wednesday, September 17th, again at 4 p.m. start Spanish time, 10 a.m. Canadian Eastern Time. I've been lucky with these 2 timings so far, both being in the afternoon, not too late that it's going to start being dark inside of the dome, and definitely not too early as I am not a morning puzzler. So I'm pretty happy about the potential timings so far. In this semifinal, I'll be up against the other 85 to 90 qualifiers from Group A, as well as the top 85 to 90 qualifiers from Group B qualifier, which is, from my understanding and looking at who's been put into different groups, based on last year's results at least, Group B looks like the toughest of the groups. So that's not ideal for my semifinal round if I make it, but it is what it is. If you want to make it to the finals, you're going to have to do well against some of the top people. So we'll see how that goes. In Group B, there are 8 Canadians. I would say the top Canadian coming out of Group B would be Katie Delude, who has made an appearance on this channel. If you haven't already watched my chat with her, I definitely encourage you to do that. But that's who I would kind of guarantee would be making it through to the semifinals. Again, another top Canadian puzzler. So that's 2 really strong Canadian representatives from Group A and B, with Megan in Group A. Hopefully more Canadians make it through than just those two, myself being one, and as many other ones as possible. Now, the top ranked person in Group B finished in 20th place in 2024 World Nationals. I had to double check because I thought that was a typo. It wasn't. That's where they finished, and that is Victor. If you are familiar with the speed puzzling world, Victor is very well known, and I would say one of the best, if not the best, give or take one or two other people, speed puzzlers in the world, especially when it comes to Ravensburger puzzles. Their Instagram, their YouTube channel, they're incredibly fast with times under 20 minutes for 500-piece puzzles. They are going to breeze through the qualifiers and the semifinals with no issue whatsoever. But there's also some other more challenging people within Group B, even though they don't have some higher finishers from 2024. The results they've had over the past 12 months have been very good. So Group B is a tough group to get out of. Getting through this round will be very tough. There's 180 total people at the most in the semifinal, and only the top 60 will move on. So 1 out of every 3 people move on to the finals. That is lower odds than the year before in 2024. While it's easier to get out of the qualifying round, it's harder to get into the final round. Getting through to the finals will be tough. In the semifinals, out of the 180 maximum participants, only 60 will move on. That is only 33% of the competitors. While with the adaptation to the rules at Worlds this year, it is easier to get out of the qualifying round. It is more difficult to get into the finals. So a lot of pressure at this point, which I think is what makes me most nervous about the individual rounds and making it to the finals. Is there a chance? Of course there is, but there will be a lot of very good people in that semifinal round. If I had to predict where I may finish in the semifinals, best case scenario, 50th. I think I'm going to be somewhere on that cusp. So it could go either way when we get to the semifinals for the individuals. Hopefully it's better, obviously. I do want to participate in that final round a few days later, but we'll see how it goes. Finally, if I do make it to the finals, that will take place on Saturday, September 20th at 6:45 p.m. Spanish time or 12:45 p.m. Canadian Eastern time. This could be a tiring day, or my most tiring day of the entire tournament, as there is another event taking place that day that I may also qualify for, which I'll talk about in a bit. But this is later in the day. I will have already competed potentially in another round immediately before this. So the finals may be tough, but I'm going to be assuming that a lot of the people that are in the pairs final, which is the final before the individual final, will also be in the individual final. There's going to be a lot of crossover between the two, so we're all going to be in the same situation. But once I get to the final, whatever happens, happens. I just want to make it to the final. Again, I'm not looking too far into the future for this. I'm very much whatever happens. Will I be disappointed if I don't make it to the final? Of course. I'll be more disappointed if I don't make it to the semifinal, but it would be nice to make it into the final for all the rounds, because then I'm getting the most out of this trip to Spain. Like I keep saying, we'll see how it goes. There's a number of factors that need to come into play. What puzzles show up, what the designs are. Is it my strength? Is it not my strength? If it's just a puzzle that's a big ball of fur, well, I'm probably out then. But if it's a more random type of puzzle where there's a lot going on, maybe I do a bit better. If there's a lot of sky, depending on if it's all clouds, maybe not. If it's a nice sunset, maybe I do better. There's so many things that go into a puzzle, especially when you are an individual. Like I said, I will be posting links to the live streams through the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation YouTube channel. I'll be posting on here, as well as doing frequent updates, especially through the individual competitions on my Instagram. So make sure you follow that, which is the same as the YouTube channel at Canadian Puzzle. Yeah, at Canadian Puzzle. I don't know why I got that messed up. Yeah, follow that. Outfit number 3, a Canadian icon for this event. I, alongside Tess McLaughlin, will be competing in the pairs event. This is one I'm very excited for and probably have the highest hopes for out of all the events that I'll be participating in. The qualifying round we are in is Group C, and it will take place on Thursday, September 18th at 12:30 p.m. Spanish time or 6:30 in the morning Canadian Eastern time. So an early one if you're watching from Canada, but similar to the individual rounds, that's not a bad starting time. Again, it's not in the morning, so I'm happy with it. To qualify for the semifinals, the top 85 pairs will move on, and not to sound too confident, because anything can happen, I do think Tess and myself move through to the semifinals fairly easily. If we do qualify, the top 85 to 90 pairs from our group will be matched with the top 85 to 90 pairs from Group D's qualifying, and Group D is a tough group. So similar to the individuals where Group A gets matched with Group B, which was a tough group, the same thing may happen here where Group C and D, another tough semifinal, going to be a challenge to make it to the finals. The semifinals will actually take place the same Thursday, just later in the day. It won't be until 8 p.m. that evening, so that's not ideal. That is a long day and could impact the next day's competitions. But that's how it happens. So yes, it'll be 8 p.m. Spanish time or 2 p.m. Canadian Eastern time. This is where things get tougher. Our primary goal is to make it to the finals, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident we can get to the finals, but you never know who's going to be in your round. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good that the finals are a realistic possibility in this event. The one issue is that out of the 180 pairs that will be in the semifinals, only 50 will make it through to the final, which I believe makes this one of the toughest, in terms of percentage people moving on, this is one of the toughest rounds. So a lot of energy will have to go into making sure we're as fast as possible and can get ourselves into the final. I didn't mention it in the individual rounds, but once we get to the semifinals and the finals, the puzzles are unknown, which I think will help us more. It'll help everybody. I think once you get to these rounds, the advantage of being able to practice the same puzzles over and over and over again will certainly help, especially if you get it, will certainly help in the qualifying round. But once you get to the semifinals and the finals, this is where you start to see who the exceptional puzzlers are, where they haven't had the opportunity to remember all little aspects of the puzzle. There are still some advantages if you've done a lot of puzzling and practicing, but in terms of image, there's no way to prepare. So it's really up to how well everyone can focus on that puzzle. And if it's kind of a puzzle that's in their wheelhouse, if it's something you're not great with, well, you don't have that second option like you do in the individual qualifiers or teams qualifiers or pairs qualifiers where there's one or two puzzles to pick from. You get what you get, and hopefully it's something that works for you. So do I think we make it to the finals? Yes. Do I think it's going to be easy to get there? Absolutely not. If we do make it to the finals, these will take place on Saturday, September 20th at 4 p.m. Spanish time or 10 a.m. Eastern time. Again, I'm getting very lucky with these 4 o'clock starts. That is not the case for most individuals. That just seems to be how the luck that I had. So maybe the odds are in my favor. The finals for the pairs event will take place immediately before the finals for the individual event. So if I am lucky enough to be in both, it will be a tiring couple hours, especially with the pairs final is a 1,000-piece puzzle. And in 2025, other than the Canadian Nationals, Worlds is the only big competition that has a 1,000-piece puzzle for the pairs final round. So this may give some advantage, slight advantage to the Canadians who may make it into the pairs final. As we've recently had our nationals just a few months ago, we know what it's like to do a 1,000-piece puzzle under in a competition, in a big competition, with the pressure, knowing what the spacing is and kind of how long it should take you to finish. So there might be some advantage for the Canadians, but it will take a lot of focus. But I think Tess and I will do well, and I really hope that we qualify to be a part of it. Final outfit, and bring on the Maple Mayhem. The fourth event I'll be competing in is the teams event, and I am on the team Maple Mayhem. Qualifying event will take place on Friday, September 19th at 9 a.m. Spanish time or 3 a.m. Canadian Eastern time. So that's an early one if people are watching from home. I am in Group A, so it's the first team's qualifier, and we will need to complete 2 1,000-piece puzzles as fast as possible. This is my first morning event, which is not ideal for 2 reasons. Reason 1 is that I am not a morning person. Puzzling in the morning is not ideal for me. Thankfully, it is a teams event, so we can kind of rely a bit more on each other. And if you have a lot more people around, the adrenaline will pick up a bit faster. Unfortunately, I don't drink coffee or energy drinks, so that's not going to be of any help for me either. But we'll see how that goes. The second reason it's not ideal is that if Tess and I make it into the pairs semifinal, that takes place the night before at 8 p.m. So it's a somewhat quickish turnover between the 2 events. But that's how the scheduling works. I'm not going to complain if my issue is that I had to compete in a semifinal the night before. It's just not ideal. But like I said, this is a team event, so you don't need to puzzle everything on your own. You are essentially doing a 250-piece puzzle while 3 other people do a 250-piece puzzle around you. Our team has practiced. We are ready to go. And having people around you can help keep the motivation up and help keep you focused as well. The pressure of this event is that there's no semifinals, so you go straight from the qualifiers to the finals. So there's that extra bit of motivation there as well. So you just need to do well and get into the finals. Up to 100 teams will be in each qualifier, and of those 100 teams, only 25 move on to the final. So 25% is not great odds, but we are days away from the competition starting. We are not at 100 teams per qualifier yet, so the odds will be slightly better, but still 25 teams is not a lot. Purely based on the odds, this is probably the event I'm most nervous for after the individual rounds. I would love to qualify for the team's final, as it does take place on the final day of the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship. So to be able to compete on the first day and the last day, I think would be really fun. If we do qualify for the finals, they will take place on Sunday, September 21st at 10 a.m. Spanish time or 4 a.m. Canadian Eastern time. Again, for the finals, it will be 2 1,000-piece puzzles as well. In the team's qualifier, we are given the choice of 2 puzzles from 4 options. Whichever 2 you pick, you got to stick with them. So hopefully we do make the correct decision. That is part of the training as well, talking with teams and talking with your partner, or just talking with other puzzlers and saying, okay, if you had these 2 puzzles, which would you pick? If you had these 4 puzzles, which would you pick? So there's preparation that goes into this event that's beyond just putting puzzles together. For the team's final, you do not get the option from 4 puzzles. You are just given 2, and historically they are tough puzzles. So we need to be prepared for anything at that point. I think we're prepared for the team's qualifier, but I've seen some of the times from other teams from other countries, and some from within Canada as well. They are very fast. They are very good. So it's up. Anybody can win in the final. I just hope to be a part of the final. That is it for chapter 13. I'm just a few days away from the time this is posted, a few days away from getting on that plane to Spain. I will be trying to do as many updates throughout the competition as possible. My main focus, obviously, while I'm there, is on all of these events, not just my individual ones, but I have the team competition with Maple Mayhem. I have my pairs events with Tess McLaughlin, and of course the national competition with the other Team Canada participants. So there will be a lot going on. My Instagram, as I've mentioned before, @CanadamPuzzle, will have more updates on there. I'll be doing some videos throughout, hopefully, if I have time when I'm on location in Spain, but we'll see how that goes. There will still be a Speed Puzzling 101 lesson posted while I'm there that is already recorded and ready to go. However, I may make a change with it. We'll see. And as always, check out the Puzzled and Chatty episodes. There's currently 4 up with a 5th one coming very, very soon. That is it for today. I will be back here after I'm done in Spain. We'll see how this channel keeps on going after that, depending on the results. But yeah, if you see me in Spain, come say hi. I'll be wearing one of these 4 shirts that you saw today anytime I'm near the dome. Until then, as always, happy puzzling. Bye.